guys, welcome to Work Our Way. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Allie.
Yeah, this is a podcast about our adventure now out of Australia, away from Fatty, and really through the post-apocalyptic world of the COVID-19.
Yeah, it's been crazy, and honestly, I don't really know where to start. So I guess let's start where we were a week ago.
What were we doing a week ago? We were in Melbourne. Yeah, we were in Melbourne a week ago, and we were looking at whether or not we were going to be sticking around in Melbourne or if we were going to have to hightail it home. And after a shoot canceled and then our Japan plans,
Tumbled like dominoes.
Oh yeah, they just fell. Everything canceled. We've seen it coming. So we had to buy a ticket the hell out of Australia, and I can't confirm this, but I think we may have gotten the last international flight out of Sydney.
Yeah, it was. So this wasn't supposed to happen the way that it happened, and I need to say that up front because I'm sure a lot of you are going to be like, why did you do it that way? So we left our bags in Sydney. We had two giant bags that we felt we didn't need when we were in Melbourne, because we were going to go to Melbourne and then possibly do the Great Barrier Reef, and I was like, that is so much luggage to haul around. So luckily our friends Daryl and Tosh, who we stayed with in Sydney, total angels.
Yep.
They kept our
Legend
bags.
Department with Kartik and Baz.
Honestly, yeah, they're right up
Australian All-Stars.
They really are. If there was an award, they would get it, because they've just been so accommodating, and the fact that they were able to take our bags like relieved so much stress, because we were just like, okay, good, we can just travel with backpacks and just be normal for a couple weeks and it's going to be all good. So we left our bags in Sydney and then we flew to Melbourne. A week into our Melbourne stay is when the state borders began to close around us.
That was a little bit longer. I thought we were there for what?
We were there for 2 weeks, but I think like a week into it is when shit started to hit the fan a little bit. Hi, Pep. For those of you watching on YouTube, this is our dog, Pep. Yeah. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the state borders started closing around us, which meant that there was a very real chance that we were not going to get back to Sydney where our bags were. So Japan cancels, all of our shoots cancel, and we're frantically trying to figure out, okay, how do we cross state borders? Because we don't know what security looks like. We don't know if it's like there's going to be cops at the intersection if we try to drive through. We don't know if the flights are canceled. The train's obviously not running. So we were like, are we going to be stuck in Melbourne without all of our stuff and all of our bags?
It was looking like that.
It was like mad stressful. And so like challenge number one was, okay, how do we get from Melbourne to Sydney? So we couldn't buy any flights online. They were canceling left and right. So we decided to just show up at the airport and see what we could do.
Yeah.
And the domestic flights in Australia, there's only three. It's Virgin, Tiger Air, and Qantas. And Tiger Air was like done. They were no longer operating. So we went to, I think it was Virgin.
Yep. They gave us quite a bit of attitude.
Oh, man. We got there like early, like probably around 10 a.m. And we're like, hey, can we get on the next flight? And they're like, yeah, next flight isn't until 9:45. And we looked up at the board and it said there was a flight at noon.
Yeah, I was like, what about that one that's leaving in an hour? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, but what about it? And they're like, it's not there. And I said, I'm looking right at it. And Allie's like, Patrick, why don't you go get us some coffees?
Yeah, so we ended up just going to a travel agent, and they booked us on a Qantas flight. So we managed to get to Sydney. All was good. And we decided to stay at the International Arrivals Hotel.
Yeah, the hotel was right at the airport.
Yep. We're like, we're going to stay here as long as we need to.
Not chancing it. We're staying as close as we can to the airport.
Exactly, so that we can check on everything daily.
Yeah.
And the airports, man, they are empty.
Yeah, the hotel, though, the hotel was full.
Full of cops.
Yep, full of cops. We got there and we saw like a billion cops, 15 cops just in the lobby. And I was just like, hey, fellas, what are you doing? And they're like, yeah, this is where we quarantining everybody coming in international flights. Right? This is where the mandatory quarantine is.
And we're like, whoa. So Australia, they crack down hard.
Yep. They get you, then they throw you in a hotel room.
Which happened to be the hotel that we were staying in. So we were staying in the newly resurrected mandatory quarantine area for all international arrivals. So
pretty cool.
There were like cops there. There were reporters there. It was busy at the hotel, but totally empty at the airport. And they were shutting down like McDonald's, like amenities that we needed to survive. They were shutting down. So we're like, okay, this isn't looking good. We need to try to get on the next international flight out of there. And we got one for Delta and Virgin Airlines for Sunday. So we showed up on Friday. Our flight was on Sunday.
Yeah.
So Sunday morning, we wake up. We're all chipper. We're like, okay, this is the day that we're going home. We got our bags into one of those little carts, and we start carting them to the front of the airport. And we look, and there's military outside, there's cops outside, and there's like 4 live stand-up for all of the major television networks in Australia for all of their news stations.
Like, yeah, all the live, they're Good Morning America, Australia. Yep.
Yeah.
And like every other show that they have going on, the reporter's standing right there. And we got our big cart, like our baggage cart with our gigantic bags on it. And we were just starting to go into the airport, and we're going by like all these military and cops and all the reporters standing just outside the airport. And I like catch a small little lip on the curb, and I just dump all my bags on live TV in front of all of Australia. And I was just like, fuck!
So that was...
Oh, man, it was so embarrassing. I looked up, and there's just like photographers taking pictures of me.
Yeah, and so because we were right outside the arrivals terminal, it was chaos, and we were obviously looking for departures, so we were one of the only people going into the airport, so just a lot of commotion. So we get to the airport, and we do the whole wait in line, wait for the ticketing counter to open up. And
we were there early with plenty of time.
So much time. We were so ready to get out of there, like 3 hours early.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So we're in line for the ticket counter. The ticket counter ends up moving, right? So it closes down and it moves, which isn't always the best sign. It means that they're realigning flights or consolidating flights. So we get into a new line, and this woman starts going up and down the line, and she's like, like the Delta Airlines trip to Los Angeles is canceled.
Yeah, a woman in a vest, an official woman.
Yes.
And she's just causing all types of panic, telling everybody that the flight is canceled.
And we're like, are you kidding me? Which, I mean, we were ready for, because all of the departures list, you could just see, like, it was canceled, like everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Like, it's starting. This is going to be our whole day. And she caused all of this panic. And it turns out she was
just kind of wrong.
She was wrong. Yeah,
she just messed up.
She messed up, and people were freaking out. But luckily, flight's not canceled. So we're like, okay, we're still on track. We're still good. We get to the front of the ticket counter and hand over our passports. And I've never had an issue with this since like college. But I booked with my credit card, which says Allie. And of course, my passport says Allison. And they were not okay with that.
Yeah, they can't handle a problem of that magnitude.
No, it was...
oh.
Yeah, they were like, who is Allie? And I'm like, okay, it's me. Allie's short for Allison. We all speak English here. That's a common name. I would hope you could understand how one is like the other. And no, that's like not a thing at all. So we had to go through the process of changing it, which was like, it took 2 hours. Yeah, it took
easily 2 hours. And I didn't check in because I was going to wait for Allie to check. Our big bags were over limit, so we were going to have to do some cross packing. And so I wanted to make sure we didn't have to throw away any of Allie's stuff because her bag was weighed a little bit more than my bag. Anyway, I waited. So they fix Allie's problem, and then it's my turn to check in. And now our 3 hours early has turned into like, now we're kind of under the gun.
Yeah, now it's 30 minutes before our flight takes off.
Yeah. And I haven't gotten my boarding pass yet. And so I go to now get my boarding pass. And they're closing down the ticket gates, like all the ticket counters.
Yep.
And like the women there who were supposed to be helping were just like taking pictures of each other. Like it was like the last day of school.
Yeah.
They were taking pictures next to like the airline sign and like taking group photos and signing each other's yearbooks.
We're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I was just like, I still need a ticket here. And then they went to print off my ticket and none of the printers worked.
Yeah.
None of them. So I was just like, what the fuck do we do? And after they were dicking around back there for another 20 minutes, now it's like 10 minutes before the plane takes off. They just draw me a ticket. They just wrote in a handwritten ticket. And I was like, is this going to be fine? And they're like, yeah, it's going to be fine. And you know what? It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't fine. I was suspicious that a handwritten ticket could get me all the way through customs, and they took one look at it and go, what the fuck is this? Yeah. I was like, the printers are broken. I don't know what to tell you. And they're like, well, let's go check at the ticket counter. So we walk like another 200 meters back, and like I'm power walking. I'm getting a little hot. I'm getting warm. So we go, they approve it. They show, we wrote this ticket for him. He's allowed past security. So we go back. I go through customs, go through security. The X-ray machine like does the bzzz across me, and I walk out. And the guy's like, "Whoa, hold on." It was actually a woman. She's like, she stops me. She takes a look, and I glance behind me to see like the little, the
silhouette.
Yeah, the silhouette guy that shows where the danger zones are. And it was just this big yellow danger zone on my head and another huge one all around my upper body. And the woman's just like, sir, were you sweating a bit? And I was just like, oh yeah, no, I'm sweating a lot. And she's like, and then she called some other guy over and he had to touch me.
Oh, poor
Yeah,
guy.
he had to pat me down.
Yeah, and at security, my bag got searched, of course, because, and this was the reason, they made me dump everything out of my bag because they were convinced that I had a dangerous, sharp object, which I'm like, I don't have any knives, I don't have any. It was a cluster of all of my tweezers in one location. And I guess all of that metal in one spot.
How many tweezers you got?
Like 4. I don't know
why.
I don't know why. What I do is I keep losing them, buying new ones, and then finding them. So now I just have this weird collection of tweezers in my makeup bag, but all of them are in one area. And so that set off the alarm. And it was so annoying because this was like 5 minutes before plane takes off. I'm convinced that the gate's closed. I'm telling Pat, run to the gate, hold the plane for me, because I knew it was just going to be a whole thing. And then we get there, and they were late. Yeah,
the plane took off late. Really, if there's like 5 planes leaving from an airport a day, it's a pretty lax schedule.
So
a
lax.
Lot of room in the white space at the calendar.
We kept asking the ticket counter ladies, because they were, like I said, just kind of dicking. They were just taking photos.
Care, yeah.
They literally said, we're kind of checked out right now because we're not coming to work for.
It's like, hey, lady, I'm still trying to check in. She's like, yeah, but we're leaving for months, so yeah. I don't care about your problems.
They really were. The fact that they hand wrote a ticket during a time when people are frantically trying to get out of Australia before they close the borders.
Yeah.
The fact that actually worked.
Handwritten tickets.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Did you know you can just go anywhere at any time? You can just do that.
You can
just handwrite tickets.
Yep. Just get a normal ticket, write in whatever you want, and then just say, hey, the ticket person wrote it up for me. And for the most part, you might be okay.
Yeah. Do you not have hundreds of dollars to travel? Well, it's okay as long as you have legible penmanship.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I could not believe that worked. So we get out of there. People are taking pictures of the plane as it's leaving.
Yeah, we're watching the cargo guys, the dudes who loaded bags and all that. They're like taking pictures of the plane as it leaves because it's the last Last flight out of Saigon.
Unbelievable. Like we had no idea. And honestly, I'm a little upset at Australia because we did things right, okay? So when everything went to hell, we did the 14-day quarantine.
Yep.
We were in Melbourne for that entire time.
Uh-huh.
And had we known that that was the last flight ever, we would have left way earlier. But I saw that there was a newspaper clipping of 2 Americans that broke quarantine and went home early, and they got like kind of bashed by the media for doing that. And it's like, what do you expect these people to do? We had no idea that was the last flight out. Had we waited one more day, we would have been screwed.
Yeah, super fucked. We would have just been stuck in Australia. Well, that's the tough part is, like, you can quarantine or you can get home to quarantine. You know, like, you're kind of screwed if you're traveling. Yeah, it's not ideal for anybody. I think that's the thing. Nobody's really thought any of this through. Mm-hmm. We're going day to day on answers here, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's too. I mean, I guess some people are clear. If you have a job that is not essential and you are told to stay home, you stay home. But for the most part, us traveling, like, we did our 14 days in Melbourne, not going anywhere, not doing anything, and as things canceled, we were just like, okay, well, I guess we have nothing else keeping us here in Australia. We need to leave at this point. Mm-hmm. And then we leave, and now we got to re-quarantine ourselves.
Yeah, so Australia was crazy. There were signs everywhere. There were people forcing people in line to do the whole social distancing thing.
Oh yeah.
Even with us.
Yeah.
They really took it very seriously. Mandatory quarantine for all arrivals, etc. So we were expecting the same, if not worse, like mandatory restrictions when we entered the US. Mm-hmm. We thought that when we got to LA, we were going to get off and they were going to be like, all right, you're stuck here now for 14 days.
Yeah. Take our temperature.
Yeah.
Stick us in a detention center on the border.
No temperature checks, no questions from immigration.
Oh my God, nothing. Yeah.
They just dumped us out, and before we knew it, we were outside of a terminal with our bags. And we were like, oh, okay.
Okie doke.
Well, all right. So we go back into the airport, do the whole rigmarole with the name change again to get to Denver, and
yeah. So we arrived in LAX and then had our changeover, went to Denver. Anyway, yeah.
And
no issues there.
No issues at all.
Yeah, they could not have cared less that we were coming into the country from another place.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I get it a little bit now why it's spreading so crazy here. I don't know. It's just no signs. Like, had we been under a rock the last month, we would have had no indication that COVID-19
to be fair,
was a thing.
Yeah, ignorance is not an exemption, you know?
No, but there weren't even signs at the airport saying, hey, social distance, and also...
I bet there was. I bet we just didn't see it. I bet we didn't see the signs, but I am surprised nobody told us. No, there was no guidance, mandatory guidance, or anything like that.
Yeah.
A little something on your tooth.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Thanks for telling everybody.
Well, you're good. It wasn't in your tooth. It was just on your tooth.
Oh, baller. Thank you.
No problem.
Look it up. Yeah, so that's how we got to Colorado. So now we are here with our good friends Chris and Katie and Pep.
Yep, Pepper and Teddy.
Yes, he's right here. And life's good. We've been here for 2 days. We just stocked up on groceries.
Yeah, they were good enough to let us in and let us quarantine a little bit here, which is, I mean, if we hadn't, I don't know what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, we would have had no clue. There's still renters in our house.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We got to find jobs and a place to live now, which is its own little challenge amidst the COVID.
Oh my gosh. We're trying to take it one day at a time, honestly, because it is a little overwhelming because we had to leave Australia so quick. We didn't have time. Like, in my head, I was like, okay, a month before we leave Australia, that's when I'll start looking for jobs. That's when I'll start taking all this seriously. And then it all just happened in like 4 days.
Right. And who's hiring now?
I know, I know, exactly.
Might be easy to find a place to live. This places just become available and vacant.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Who knows? We're looking to relocate to the East Coast to coronavirus epicenter, New York City.
Yep, that's always living on the edge.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. The next couple of weeks should be very, very interesting.
Yeah. So that's that. Like that's the podcast is still going on. I know some of you have asked. Obviously we won't have as many travel stories, but we still have opinions and a lot to talk about. And comedy will come back. The content creation side of things will eventually return.
Well, we're pretty much in flux for the next month?
Yeah.
We got to make our way east eventually. We have, quarantining probably in the car for a good amount of it, and then in shiesty motel rooms across the country as we make our way back.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's where we're at. So maybe we should talk about, all in all, what was Australia like? What are the goods, the bads, the highs, the lows, the funny, not so funny?
Oh man, Australia. What do you want to start with? What about your best moments in Australia?
The best moments in Australia. Let's see. Oh boy. I'll tell you what. We could start with this because we just experienced this. We had Slice Pizza, which is a pizza by the Slice place in Fort Collins, where they just throw random toppings on pizza. And you had mentioned, that was the best pizza we've had in the last 6 months.
Well, yeah, that's because Australian pizza is not very good.
No.
But I'll say this, Fort Collins pizza isn't very good either. It's just, it's not East Coast pizza, but it's better than Australian pizza. So we got here, we ordered a big pizza, and it was good. It was the first time I've appreciated Fort Collins pizza, Colorado pizza.
Same with coffee. We got Dunkin' Donuts coffee this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And we missed that so much. So really, I guess what I'm trying to say is the Australian food and the Australian coffee, I think, were probably low for me.
You know what's weird? Melbourne, prides themselves on great coffee.
I know, which is wild.
It is kind of wild.
Because it's still coffee, but it's different.
Yeah.
I just don't like long blacks, like the long espresso. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not the same as drip coffee.
Yeah, give me that drip.
I want it.
I want that drip. Top moment for me, probably Esperance watching that dude catch a wave on a stand-up paddleboard and thinking that there was a shark underneath him, but it turned out to be a dolphin, and then 30 dolphins appeared in the wave.
All went swimming with him.
Yeah, it was. That was probably the coolest moment.
Yeah.
For me, anyway, was seeing that. I was just blown away, not expecting it, and then boom, 30 dolphins all diving out the front of this wave while we're watching this dude surf with them. It was cool.
Yeah, it was just a good setting too, because it was one of the few times that we actually had our van set up appropriately to kind of look out the back. Like we had our chairs out, we had the van there, we had coffee in our hand, and we were just so close to the beach that we were able to just look out. And yeah, that Esperance continues to blow my mind in terms of how gorgeous the beaches are.
Yeah, those gorgeous, gorgeous beaches.
So I guess if you guys are going to Australia and you want kind of an off the beaten path destination, Esperance 1,000%.
Oh yeah,
you gotta stop.
It's the best beach outside of Bondi. Bondi is probably the best beach. That one lived up to the hype. Great waves, packed with people, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Bondi was cool.
A lot of fun. Ooh, what else? What else was good about... I mean, today, actually, Taste My Travel just published our Cooper Pedy video.
To me, that's a low point.
Well...
the video is great, but Cooper Pedy I was so hot, I was boiling. My brain was boiling.
It was...
Cooper Pedy.
Very, very hot.
Yeah, no air conditioning. It was a tough drive. We drove in the middle of the day. It makes me irritable just thinking about it. I want to start an argument with you just thinking about that drive.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, that was really our only experience with the Outback, quote unquote, which was kind of a yawn-a-thon. But Cooper Pedy was just an interesting, quirky little place. Like everything was abandoned. Actually, very similar to what it is right now. Like things are just, people aren't in stores
Yeah,
and
we were there.
restaurants.
When were we there? Mid-January.
Which is the like worst month to be there.
We're like, oh my God, is everybody quarantined? They're like, no, this is how we live.
Yeah,
this is just day-to-day life here in Cooper Pedy.
Yeah. So that was just an interesting... I just remember having so much fun shooting because there were literally no rules.
I remembered not having as much fun as that. I remember being very, very hot and irritated.
Fair. Well, thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah,
doing that
my
for
pleasure.
me. Oh boy. Let's see what else.
Blazade was fun.
Oh, Blazade was great.
I think that was a top moment.
That was a high, and it was a high, especially in the sense that we got to do it together, which was just very, yeah, it was great. I'll never forget the people that I've met, both the volunteers and the people who were affected by the bushfires. So it was good that while we were in Australia, we were able to give back in that regard. That really made it feel good.
Yeah, it was plus it was fun.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, drinking increased, I don't know what, exponentially.
Significantly.
Yeah, we were going from like occasionally drinking to every night drink as many beers as we could.
Yeah,
and with the fellas, and
then operate heavy machinery the day
and
after.
then grab the auger the next day, a little hungover, a little dusty, as they say in Australia.
Yeah, we actually never talked about this, but our last night in Sydney, we got all the way banged up.
Yep,
to the point where we decided to maybe not drink for a while.
Yeah. It was. I just get so hungover. We were drinking. Well, our Blazade friends. We met up with them, and then we had just a big night of going out. Mm-hmm. And boy, time flew by, and so did the beers. And
yeah.
The next morning we had to fly to Melbourne, and I was dusty.
Oh,
dusty.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't function. Oh my God! I had voluminous vomit.
Oh man, yeah. We don't have a very good track record with drinking and then traveling the next day. It seems to be a pattern. We had a really good run when you visited me in Germany during Frühlingsfest. Same deal. It was like the spring Oktoberfest. We were there with all our friends. We were having a great time. And then early the next morning, we were supposed to fly out to Morocco. And it was just, we just failed every test along the way. It was step 1, get up and make your train. Oh, we missed our train.
And okay. I'm just running hungover, occasionally vomiting on the road.
Maybe we can catch the bus. Oh, nope, missed the bus. Gotta take a cab. Oh, taking a cab, but now Pat's gotta vomit.
It was the worst scavenger hunt ever.
It was, So that was our last night in Sydney. But yeah, Melbourne during quarantine, I did appreciate we decided to get back into shape, essentially.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about not when we were quarantined. So we went on a couple of jogs.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking
was
about?
Allowed. Yeah,
I don't think that's allowed.
No, it said in the thing that you could work out. You could go on like a run.
Oh, okay. Then we did that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went on runs, got back into shape a little bit. And when we were in Perth, I think that was the other time where we really got after it workout wise, and we would do runs along the beach. That's where I lost my engagement ring, for those of you who don't remember that episode.
Yeah, classic.
That was definitely a low for me, a low 20 minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's just very, very pretty runs that they have in Australia, especially along the beaches.
Oh yeah, coastal runs are gorgeous.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, we were in the St. Kilda area, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Though the day we left, when they were shutting everything down and doing the mandatory quarantines, all over the news were pictures of people on the St. Kilda beach, just packed on the St. Kilda beach.
I know. It was, man. People just don't like being told what to do.
Well, yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think people are going to continue? They're saying this is going to last. I've been saying this for a little while, but this is going to last way longer than anybody predicted, and they're thinking well into May,
Well,
which I still think is an underestimate.
some of the states on the East Coast, by DC, they're in lockdown now until June 10th.
That's right. Do you think how many more weeks before speakeasy type pubs start opening up? Like off the books, where people are just going to start getting together anyway.
Um, Maybe they'll happen at pre-existing speakeasies.
Well, I mean,
Maybe they'll just secretly open their doors to a few patrons and customers.
eventually people are just going to start having parties in secret.
Yeah.
People are just going to start quarantining publicly.
Yeah.
And partying privately. If that makes sense. They're going to be, there's going to be like passwords and shit and people like checking into different places. When do you think that's going to happen? Because I bet people can't last until June. You know what I mean?
I bet it's going to be, I bet mid-May.
Mid-May, you think people
Yeah.
do you think the reports of people partying off the books?
Well, there was already, I saw, I don't know where it happened, but there was a coronavirus party that got busted very recently. With
Yeah,
like
not coronavirus
50...
parties. We're talking people knock on the door, dude opens a slat in the eyes, and what's the password? And you say, grilled cheese. And then okay. And then you walk in, and then it's just like somebody playing jazz trumpet, and and then a bunch of people drinking together.
I would think that maybe that would happen, but I also wouldn't be surprised if people get very used to kind of the lazy lifestyle that everyone's now taken up from just working from home. Because there's people that just don't ever change out of their PJs.
Yeah,
so I think that
respect.
Eventually, you'll have one of two people. You'll have the people that are antsy and are like, maybe I need to get out because I need money, and they do it out of desperation. But I think the majority of Americans are going to become maybe a little lazier or less motivated to go out just because they're so now used to this way of life, this new normal.
Do you think people will just become inside people? There's going to be
Maybe.
inside... Yeah, indoor cats and outdoor cats.
I think, the people who maybe were a little introverted before, I think that's just going to increase.
Yeah.
And they're just going to get to a point where they now have their routine, and their routine is PJs most of the day and Netflix by themselves at night, and they have no want to go out and socialize like they used to.
I don't know. I don't think people... I think once you take something away from people, I think they want it more.
That's a good point. That is true. So I don't know.
I just don't see people quarantining themselves until June. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. And we talked about this in the last episode. I really don't think that financially that's going to work for a lot of people. And that's the biggest motivator, like if you can afford to stay home, that's great. You will probably opt to stay home for as long as you need to because you're taken care of financially. But if you're not, then you need to make money. And I think people are just going to say, screw it. I'm done. I am leaving because my life and the welfare of my family depends on it.
When do you think that's going to happen? When do you think you'll start to see the people breaking quarantine, just losing their minds, just breaking quarantine?
I think, because we're coming up on the 14-day mark? Like, we've passed it, right?
We've passed it, yeah.
I think mid-April. I think if anything...
At the month mark?
Yeah, I think, people are just going to be
Easter's going to come and go, and you think that's going to be kind of the last straw?
I think so, yeah. I think, I don't really see it going that much longer. I feel like even in St. Kilda, when we would go on our runs, I saw more and more people each day just out.
Yeah, I think Australia is not a good indication of how seriously people are taking the quarantine. I think people are taking the quarantine a little bit more seriously in Australia now, but up until we left, I don't think they were taking it like while we were there, like less than a week before we left, they still had restaurants open.
Yeah.
You know, they still had they still had restaurants and bars open up until a week before we left.
Good point.
And that was that was pretty late in the game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There hadn't been restaurants open for 2 weeks in the States by the time they closed them in Australia. So I don't know if it just didn't seem like there was a sense of urgency yet among the people.
Sure.
You know, you could walk down the street and you would see a ton of people. Ton of people driving, ton of people out and about.
Yeah.
You went to the beach, like for a run, there were people all over the trails.
Yeah.
There were people all over the outdoor gym. There were people all over the beach. There were people everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if Australia is a good indication of how seriously most countries are taking it.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question, a little morbid, but what do you think the final death toll will be for the U.S.?
I don't know.
What's it at now?
I don't know.
I think it's just over 1,000.
I think it's more than that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't Googled it recently.
Yeah,
I guess I could
give it a Google so we don't seem like absolute imbeciles. But I don't know, and I don't really want to venture a guess because that it could be extremely high, it could be hopefully low. What's it say?
I'm still looking here. Man.
Yeah, tough to say.
There is.
Why don't you just look up deaths?
Okay, here we go. 2,800. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So.
So almost 3,000. Wow.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to venture a guess how many people are going to die.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it stays low. Hopefully all of this isolation works. Hopefully we do flatten the curve. I get nervous just reading the news because I see reports of a second wave in China, and I see reports of, is this gonna actually help? And it's sad, it's depressing. There's just still so much unknown.
Well, get ready for like continuous fear mongering based off of this. You know what I mean?
Of course.
This was the media just realized, oh shit, ratings are through the roof. People are paying attention to this. So now every disaster is going to be worse than coronavirus getting worse, second wave, new pandemic, all that shit. I would expect to see that relentlessly over the next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope for the best. I mean, it is tough and challenging to stay positive with some of the headlines that you see out there, but
it makes it tough to game plan too. You know, our life is in such flux. We're trying to get out to the East Coast. Mm-hmm. We're trying to move. We're both trying to get jobs.
Yep.
And all of those are really iffy prospects.
They are.
You know what I mean?
And
we're trying to move to a place that's now called the epicenter.
Yep.
We have no idea what the housing market's going to bring.
Like.
Yeah, we've got renters in our house now.
Yep.
And we have to find a place to live, and we got to find jobs to do. So, and I know nobody's having an easy time right now, income wise. So it's should be a really pretty interesting and kind of we're kind of on the front lines of a lot of the things that are in danger of being affected from the COVID virus, whatever, the coronavirus.
Yeah, it's stressful because, I mean, for me, I'm a little bit of a planner. Like, when I travel, it's usually like, whatever happens, happens. That's the way I like to travel, but that's not the way I like to live. And I'm finding that I'm slowly having to embrace the daily, like, borderline mental breakdowns of, oh my God, I have no idea what tomorrow's going to look like. I have no idea where we're going to be in a week, let alone 2 weeks, let alone a month, let alone 2 months. Like, it really is stressful because we don't know how long this is going to last. And for me, I quit my job so that I could pursue a career that brought me a lot of joy, which was being out every day and creating content. And I can't do that at all if businesses are still closed, if people are afraid to go outside.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of jobs for that. So I'm finding myself asking, okay, do I need to, what is my backup plan? Do I have one? Have I ever had one? Like, do I go back into TV? Do I start a new career, try to learn new schools? Do I go to school? Like, I just have no idea.
Well, there's no comedy either.
Yeah.
So there's just nothing. I mean, and so many people are in the same boat with whatever their profession or skill set is. There's just, everybody is just halted. You know, it's so hard to do nothing.
I know.
And it's, I don't know, it's very strange. It's like the first time most people are called to do nothing and, like, for the benefit of humanity, don't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, stay home. Your job's not important, stay home. You know, like, there's no reason to go out. I can't pursue anything. You can't pursue anything. I guess you could pursue education or study or a skill set in your off time. Like, you can do self-learning. So I guess that's really all you can do if you are trying to chase, like, down a dream, or, like, do something and make progress in some direction. I think that's the only thing.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, can't even go to the movies.
I know. Everything, and especially being back in Colorado,
it is
my
kind of funny.
family is here. Like, we have friends here that we want to visit, and normally we would come back and be like, oh my God, it's been 5 months. Why don't we go get a drink at this place? Or why don't we go out to dinner
let's
or
go
get brunch?
Yeah, do something.
Nothing. All the things that connect us are gone. So it is so frustrating. Like, I haven't seen my family yet. You haven't seen your comedy friends yet.
Yep.
It's like we're visitors in our own hometown.
Yeah, but you can't even do anything.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, we're complaining. You guys know the deal.
Yeah, but
you're living it as well.
Exactly. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think it's important to be open and honest about the way it's affecting us mentally, emotionally, etc. Because, you know, I imagine that this is a tough time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, hopefully it'll get better. I mean, it will get better, but yeah, it is a challenge, and it's a part of our adventure that we weren't anticipating having to deal with. So
yeah,
it's fun times.
It is fun times.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring up? You got something to plug.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So we actually in quarantine have done a few guest podcasts guest episodes on a couple different podcasts.
Yeah.
So, gosh, what is the one that we just did? It's a leadership podcast, and I am messing up this plug. It's somewhere. I want to say it's Leadership Now, Leadership Loading.
Leadership Loading.
Yes.
So if you want to catch a load of leadership, check that out. That should be up in the next 2 weeks.
Yes, and it's host Jason McLaren. We talked a lot about our roles in the military, and then also our motivations for starting Work Our Way, and just what we've been doing in Australia. So that's a good one to check out. We had a really good conversation with him. There was a Couch to Active podcast that I was on. It was only 5 or 10 minutes, so super short, and I was supposed to detail our Ironman journey, but like, how do you do that in 10 minutes? Because it was so crazy and wild. So I sound a little nuts because I was trying to pack as much info as I could in 10 minutes. But that one, if you guys are friends with me on Facebook, you have to download some app to listen to it. So I found the link. You guys can listen to it straight off of the page if that's easier. And then there's another podcast that I was featured on. That one I will plug next week as we get a little bit closer. That's like a full up hour and a half.
Oh yeah, that was a long one.
Like, deep dives into my history as a television reporter and during my time as combat camera. So we'll be sure to put all that up for you guys to listen to if you're bored and need some time to kill in quarantine. Also, we have a TikTok, and we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good on it. So if you guys are on TikTok, Work Our Way, you can check us out on there.
All right. Yeah. Also, new video from Allie on Taste Made Travel about our Cooper Petey thing. If you want to see my stupid ass cheesing all over that.
Yes.
That's pretty funny, so check that out. Also, guys, write in at workourwaypodcast@gmail.com. Check out our YouTube channel at Work Our Way. Follow us on Insta, Work Our Way.
And our website.
Yep, our website at workourway.com.
Yes.
No comedy dates because everything's canceled and you're not allowed to laugh anymore.
Yeah, and no shoot days either.
Yep.
So,
All right, guys. Thanks for checking in. See you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.